Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Skyrim Legendary Survival Permadeath series. Today we're going to be tackling Embershard Mine and heading to Riverwood for the first time. And for the time being, I'm going to continue using this crappy iron sword, although I'll replace it momentarily. I debated for a little bit which one of the Guardian Stones I was going to go with, because this is a bit of a hybrid build. It's going to use both sneak and light armor skills, but also mage skills like conjuration and healing. I decided at first to go with the mage stone, and if I want to explicitly level those stealth skills later, then I will go back and switch. But for now, I figured that it would be better to stick with the mage stone. Also, I saw the little pop-up about hunger. That is the first notification about survival mode stuff, because survival mode does not begin or can't be activated until after leaving Helgen. So survival mode essentially just began. If you've not played survival mode, the extra stipulations that it adds are it cuts your base carry weight in half, so you can only carry 150 pounds or weight, whatever the unit is in Skyrim. Oh, nice kill animation there. But yes, you can only carry 150 pounds. You need to eat. You don't need to drink. There's no water or drinking water in survival mode, but you need to eat and you need to sleep. And if you don't eat, that decreases your stamina bar. And if you don't sleep, that decreases your magicka bar. On top of that, you also need to sleep to level up. No longer can you just level up in the middle of a fight and instantly gain all of your health, stamina, and magicka back. So that's another additional way that things get more difficult. And also, just like in Oblivion, you have to actually take time to go and find places to sleep, not just for your player's requirements, but also to level up. I think that's everything in terms of survival mechanics. But oh yes, actually I forgot one of the biggest ones. Hot and cold. Skyrim is cold, most of it at least. Basically everything north of Whiterun and some things to the east and west of Whiterun are cold areas. And you can die relatively quickly if you don't have warm fur armor. And even if it doesn't kill you, getting cold will decrease your maximum health, which can cause a ton of problems. It doesn't really come into play here, but it will come into play next episode when we go to Bleak Falls Barrow, because that is the first cold, truly cold area of the game that you encounter if you're playing through the game normally. And that can cause, well, you'll see. Gonna quickly mine up some of this iron as well. Plan, I will eventually down the line try and get the transmute ore spell from Halted Stream Camp, I believe it's called, so that I can turn all of this iron into silver and then gold, and then I can smelt all of that down into gold rings to increase my smithing skill and also be able to sell that for a little extra cash. If you grab all of the iron here and all of the iron at the Halted Stream, that usually gets you enough gold to sell. And if you're not already, depending on how long you've been playing, gotten up to the gold requirement to buy a house, that usually kind of puts you over the edge to buy a 5,000 gold house. So that will be my plan down the line. These enemies here, that one right there with the steel battle axe, backing away from him as much as possible because he poses the most threat. Like I said in the last episode, the enemies with two-handed weapons, if they get a good power attack on you, especially a running power attack, it very well could one or two shot you, depending on how much health you have and what kind of armor you're wearing. Let's snag those fur bracers. They'll come in handy later once once I get into the actual first cold area. Across the bridge. One more enemy up here in front of the prison cell. I'm going to go ahead and cast this before I even see him. Get that conjuration level up to 27. And relatively easy. I'm going to go ahead and not pick up the key so that I can get a little extra lockpick skill from picking the lock myself. Got that. Normally, some of the stuff that you would just leave behind, like potatoes and cabbages, apples, carrots, stuff like that, that doesn't have much use in non-survival mode, suddenly has a lot more use when you need to eat, obviously. Ooh, iron gauntlets of smithing, that will definitely come handy later. Grab the carrots, cabbage, honeycomb, and getting trapped in by my own familiar. And so I'm going to cast another one to get it out of the way. As I mentioned in episode 1, I'm recording commentary for this after the actual gameplay. But in this instance, I'm recording the commentary a little bit after editing this video down. So I'm reacting and commentating, but also trying to remember exactly what it was that I did during this episode. And all I remember really is the overall stuff, like that I finished this dungeon and went back to Riverwood. And get a little more iron. Wish I could use a bow here, but I'm all out of arrows, so I'm gonna have to go in. I prefer to get good, at least singular sneak shot off first, just to lower their health, because the enemies in Legendary are so ridiculously tanky. And that's one down, 2 more to go, 1 archer and 1 that usually carries a 2-handed weapon. Grab that iron and the smithing book. There's a little bit more iron over here on the workbench. And the archer has noticed me. Go ahead and cast another familiar. Level that conjuration faster. Ah, yes, there's the one with the warhammer. I'm going to go ahead and bypass him for now and instead fight the archer, who is far less dangerous in close combat as opposed to the one with the warhammer, who could probably take me out in 2 or 3 hits max. I'm going to throw down another familiar and yeet myself off the side. Playing Skyrim on Legendary difficulty forces you to think about the game in a different way. You can't really face anybody except for like level 1 bandits when you're considerably higher level in a direct one-on-one fight. You have to use your environment, jump off of items, or jump off of stuff like this bridge down into the water to get around, and use stuff like a conjure familiar in order to give yourself some space and get a little extra damage on them, because they've already have such an advantage against you. You have to use every advantage that you could possibly have against them. Grab all this meat. Again, stuff that probably is not worth grabbing if you're not playing on survival. But if you are, and there I go, just going ahead and eating 13 whole cabbages and several carrots. Just a little snack. Grab all that as well. And finally get to the treasure room. Some items I won't bother picking up, but if they're food items, even if they produce just the tiniest bit of hunger back, I will just immediately hit RT and eat them straight out of the chest. That way I can get just a couple of points taken away at pushing that hunger back towards the well-fed or satisfied category. If you're satisfied, you don't have any debuffs. If you're well-fed, you have some sort of a buff. I don't remember exactly what it is. Something about, I believe, extra health or extra stamina regen if you're well-fed. Go ahead and pick this lock. Amulet of Julianos, that could come in handy. I'll take a little extra magicka any day. Don't need those for gauntlets. Don't need that. Helmet. I'm trying to bring as much back as I can to sell for at least a little bit of gold, but you can't quite grab everything with half the inventory space. And checking the walls, but pretty confident there's no more iron in this section. And there we go. First dungeon outside of Helgen complete. And off to Riverwood for the first time. Here we are, and Hadvar always shows up right at the same time, even though he obviously should have made it here a long time ago. I'm going to very quickly complete the Sven and Faendale quest in Faendale's favor so that I can grab Faendale as a follower. He will come in handy just here at the very beginning. I will basically just use him and lose him after Bleak Falls Barrow, but for this very first section, it'll be handy to have another bullet sponge, essentially, and somebody to carry a little extra stuff for me, so that if I get a little too heavy on my hoarding, until I get, especially until I get a home where I can store stuff, and with half the inventory space, using Faendale will work in my favor.
Could you talk to Faendale as well?
There's the fake letter. Let's go ahead and pick up.
Oh, a bit of this.
No. Yeah, first I'll sell some stuff. And sell probably a ring. And that's good for now. Sell all of the wine and mead. Generally worth more money than it's worth drinking. And sell these books. I'm not going to keep sparks. And there we go. And then go ahead and start the Golden Claw quest.
You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment.
And we'll go over...
What is it now?
Yes, we'll go into Alvor's house real quick to get some free stuff and then pick up the quest to go to Whiterun.
Sigrid, we have company. Ain't every day we get visitors in Riverwood. Of course. But what's all this about? What are you two
Take
doing
his
here?
food. Gem, definitely healing potions are helpful. Alright. I won't completely rob him dry.
What? That explains what I saw earlier. The Jarl needs... We need to get word to Jarl Balgruuf in Whiterun to send whatever soldiers he can. If you'll do that for me.
We've been so
Right, and perfect. There's Faendal.
Maybe you've already
Grab
met Camilla
him.
Valerius. I appreciate your help. Please, take this. Some gold I've saved up from working at the mill. Lead the way.
And there we go. That is going to be it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully you'll be with me for the next one.